I've told you before, never take Trump literally. Never take him literally. All of his public statements are either bargaining tactics or sheer misdirection, always. That's all it is. If you're going to react every time that man opens his mouth, you're not going to survive the next 4 years. So you need to calm down, keep a cool head. As I've said many times, is a mascot of the A-national owners and controllers of global financialized capital. He's not pro-American, he's not pro-Zionist, he's pro-profit, personal profit. His loyalty is always going to bend towards whoever has the higher net worth. And he's absolutely in the camp of the GCC, and so is Elon Musk. It's the same thing with him. Never take a word he says seriously. You know, Musk would not have even been able to buy Twitter without Gulf money. And Trump, I mean, we just saw him at the UFC match with the head of the Saudi Sovereign Wealth Fund. He's a Khaliji president. I told you before, he's a Khaliji president. His son-in-law, Jared Kushner, is the head of that investment firm called Affinity Partners. And that investment firm is nothing but a front for the UAE and for Saudi Arabia, for their money. It's their money. Trump received himself tens of millions of dollars from the Saudis and from the Emiratis in the form of investments and partnerships and agreements and mutual projects and so forth. Netanyahu's net worth is maybe somewhere between 10 and 20 million dollars. Mohammed bin Salman's net worth is roughly 50,000 times more than that, okay? Between Saudi Arabia and the UAE, you're talking about trillions, not billions, not millions, not billions, trillions of dollars. And if you don't want to talk about Netanyahu himself, personally, as an individual, talk about Israel. The entire GDP of Israel is a fraction of the money that's controlled by the GCC. Not to mention that 60% of Israel's GDP is literally debt financed. So in my opinion, the only part of what Trump said that is actually true is that he wants to see Gaza rebuilt. And he wants the Gulf to do it. And he wants affinity partners to be involved. When he says America will own Gaza, what he actually means is, the translation of that is, that he wants himself and his son-in-law to have a share in the development of Gaza as financed by Saudi Arabia and the UAE. You know, he wants a Trump Tower on Salahuddin Street. He wants a Trump hotel on the beach. And he wants the region to be stable and to be peaceful, because stability and peace is the only way that the region can be profitable. I mean, if you pay close attention during that joint press conference with Netanyahu, he was actually quite vague in his language, deliberately, in my opinion. He was quite vague. His wording, he left it up to the listener to decide how to interpret what he was saying. So the Zionists will interpret it one way and other people can interpret it another way. At the official press conference, he never said the words transfer the Palestinians or expel the Palestinians to neighboring countries. All he said was that neighboring countries should build places for where the Palestinians could live, where they won't be shot at and destroyed and so on, which is exactly what the GCC is going to do. They're going to build places like that inside of Gaza. In fact, I think it's quite noteworthy that he talked a lot about how horrific the situation is for the people in Gaza. He talked about that a lot. How they're not safe, how they're attacked, how they're being killed and shot at and bombed and so forth, and how terrible it is. All while the killer is standing right next to him, forced to listen to how disgraceful and how inhuman Trump thinks it is. Having to listen to Trump talk about the right of the Palestinian people to live in peace and safety. People who he described as a wonderful people who built a civilization. I mean, you can see the confusion on Netanyahu's face when he's saying these things. It was an indirect condemnation of Netanyahu's actions. You know, Trump was very proud of those Abraham Accords. He was very proud of that. And I think he basically feels that Israel betrayed that accomplishment. And it's known anyway. It's known. And it's very clear that Trump has a personal loathing for Netanyahu, as does pretty much anyone else who ever had to deal with the man. No one can stand him. You know, people always talk about that Miriam Adelson, the Zionist, who gave Trump's campaign something like $200 million, and they think that that means that Trump has been bought and paid for by the Zionists. But I'll tell you what, Saudi Arabia gave Affinity Partners $2 billion. So I think that just making the suggestion that the Palestinians should be expelled, a suggestion that he knows full well is going to get shot down, well, that's what Adelson paid for. That's all she'll get. Services rendered. I've told you before, never take Trump literally. Never take him literally. All of his public statements are either bargaining tactics or sheer